Sir, so, interesting points. Ki humans can't be replaced completely. But before coming to that, I would love for you to tell me a bit more of the technology concept. Because, Air Force, wo without technology operate ही नहीं हो सकता. There's a machine flying in the air. So, given that, and given the advancement of the AI, the unmanned vehicles, especially the unmanned vehicles, because that's where the thought is कि उधर हमारा replacement होगा humans का. How do you think would be the situation different in the Balakot event with the current technology which is there in the ecosystem?
नितेश, उन्होंने एक क्वेश्चन में 4 डाल दिए. 4 questions in one. Indian Air Force, technology, unmanned platforms, and Balakot. So if we can take 1 hour on each. Okay, so let's start Indian Air Force. So Indian Air Force, not only Indian Air Force, and then also General Air Force. Air Force is a very technology intensive service. Obviously, if you have to fly in the air, you need technology. They say man can walk on ground without technology. He can swim in water for a certain extent without technology, but he cannot fly without technology. Okay, some people counter that. They say, no, parachute laga ke, there's hardly any technology, you can fly. That's not flying, that is gliding. Anyway, so Air Force is a technology intensive service, and ऐसा technology का ऐसा वो नहीं है कि एक बार injection दे दिया and that is good enough. It's a constant process. Technology is evolving and technology will to bring it to this thing. Aviation is not very old. 1903 the first flight took place, and imagine 120 years, 121 years, and where have we reached? Those were simple aircraft which took off 10 seconds, flew about 10 or 100 odd meters in the air for about 10-15 seconds. Correct? Now look at the machines. They can fly for hours. You can fly around the world. The kind of intelligence they have, kind of computing power they have, and kind of weapons they can carry, the kind of work they can do. In 120 years, where have we reached as far as flying is concerned? Not only in military flying, you see civil flying. Correct? And we are reaching space. So the amount of progress which is done in, I don't think had taken place in any other field. So Air Force also, since it's technology intensive, and also it takes time to convert that technology into capability. That is where we all come in the future. How can you contribute towards it? Converting that new technology into capability. All of you are sitting in this room, and all of us, the country and the world, can contribute to it. It takes time. Okay. Now the second part is AI. You talked about AI. AI is coming a big way in the defense services. The reason is, with the technology, it's a vicious circle. With technology, systems are improving, new and new systems are coming in. These systems, sensors are picking up data, very large volumes of data, which is not, human mind cannot analyze it on its own. So you need artificial intelligence to analyze this data, make sense of the data, and present to you in some sort of a presentable form. Right. And also give you some sort of solutions, which is called, DSS, that is decision support systems. Some sort of a decision.
So, but this is a facilitation of technology. Technology is facilitating the humans, what we're talking about.
So, technology is a two-edged sword. They say technology is a very good gadget, a very bad weapon. Okay, so if you use it for good purposes, it's a very good gadget. If you use it for not so good purposes, then it's a bad weapon. And but both sides is happening. So the new types of weapons, new types of offensive things are coming out, and the defensive side also it's coming out.
So, but then it's worrying to see कि ऐसे Chinese या फिर say American robots are there, which is unmanned. So at the end, it does not have the risk of a life, and they're going on their own. They're navigating the terrain. Even the Air Force, जहाँ पे strikes वो directly खुद कर सकते हैं. There's no, the risk of the losing human lives. And when I say that, it is also becoming so autonomous that we also see that humans are getting out of the equation to a huge extent. So what do you have to say about that?
Yeah. So, as I said, unmanned platforms. So I don't call it drones. I don't call it UAVs or RPAs. There are a whole lot of terms. RPA is remotely piloted aircraft. UAV is unmanned aerial vehicle. So I call it unmanned platforms. Why I call it unmanned platforms is because it's not only in the air. You're getting unmanned platforms in the sea. ships which are coming which are unmanned. You're getting submarines under the surface which are unmanned. You're getting surface like the dogs which I told you about China displayed. We also displayed some dogs, and so we have a lot of platforms on the ground also. So these platforms are designed to do certain work which humans used to do. So they can do with the human intervention. That means a person is sitting somewhere and controlling them, or they can do autonomous. Okay, so that is why. Now when you put AI in them, machine learning and artificial intelligence, now what happens is they're not only autonomous, they are learning by the day, by the hour. That is where the danger lies. So there are ethical concerns, there are international laws, whether they'll follow or not, those concerns. There are ethical concerns in the sense whether ethically it is right or not. And a bigger concern is, the weapon can turn back onto you. Okay, so with the enemy changing the data, the fourth concern is if the data is not extensive enough, not adequate, with a little data, the decision or the whatever that machine is making may not be correct. So these are various concerns as far as the AI operated autonomous unmanned platforms is concerned.
Right. And I see there's this, when you say this, there's also huge potential in human thinking, but it should, the kind of jobs which were there, those are also transforming now. So what do you think? I mean, the youth is here. They're the ones who are going to be there in the positions of decision making, in the positions of execution. So what do you think are the transferable skills which they can actually adopt to, and they should have a thinking while moving into this field of defense?
So, wow, that's another good question. Okay, so first you use the word transferable skills. All right, this becomes now, goes from defense and warfare into management side. Okay, so in the management circle, the word transferable skills is used. So what it means is very important for all you youngsters. In the future, you're going to go into different fields and you're going to pick up jobs, correct, whatever you like, and you'll keep changing jobs also. हम तो लकीर के फकीर थे, बड़ा needs to carry on. आजकल I've seen my two sons, they change jobs as if they're changing clothes, and changing job is a sort of stepping stone. So when you change job, the previous company says, I'll give you more, you stay. The new company says, I'll pay you more than that, you come. So it's actually sort of a pay hike in the sake. So there are certain transferable skills. These skills, irrespective of where you are, irrespective of what job you're doing, they will always help you in achieving your objective, achieving your goal and being good. That is called transferable skills. So I'll give you an example, like learning how to operate the computer. And not only computer, using those software and apps to further your this thing. Now ChatGPT has come, AI has come, DeepSeek has come, now Chinese thing. How do you use that to further your whatever you want them to do? Okay, this is a transferable skill. Communication skills. How do you, ability to convey your messages to the subordinates, to your team. Okay, that is a transferable skill. Okay, if you're not able to communicate, your team will never be able to do the job. That is a transferable skill. Then, writing, the ability to write clearly and give the messages and all, that is also a transferable skill. So there are a whole lot of these transferable skills which there's a whole list of it actually, this thing. And it is good to learn these. And these days, school, colleges are making people exposed to things. But to what extent you learn is up to you. Okay? And we have learned hard way on our own. Now you got the chance to learn these while you're studying and while you're this thing. Make full use of it. They will help you in future run. Then transferable skills also include, ability to do teamwork. You may be very good individually, but it doesn't matter in an organization. You have to be a team man. If you're leading, then you have to take the team along. If you're part of the team, then you have to be part of the team and be along, not go at a tangent. So that is also transferable skill in the sense to be able to work as a team. So there are a whole lot of these skills we talk about.
And one thing in particular I'm really curious about. So, we have you here in front of us who has flown more than 4,000 hours, and in all different kinds of aircrafts. When you're in a position of actually taking the decision of pulling the trigger which will affect thousands of lives, if not millions, because of that decision. So what is that particular mindset and mind frame which you're in? Because I feel this is the most human a human can get in that particular vulnerable situation. Can you just run us through one of those incidents when you had to take that decision, and what was your mindset at that particular point?
I think you've been watching too many movies. He's gonna die, he's got a bomb, he's got a nuclear this thing, and he's thinking, मैं करूँ ना करूँ, करूँ ना करूँ, इसका ये होगा, वो होगा. Nothing. When you're flying, nothing goes in your mind. I mean, you're beyond all this. That time, your only thing is that my job is to put that bomb or the rocket or this thing into that target, and that is the target, and how best can I do it, and how can I fly best to make sure that it goes there.
So emotion is out of the equation?
There's no time for emotion at that time.
Interesting.
So, I'm coming to that. So, they say, in flying, I will say, the flying man, they say, ki never take your worries to the cockpit. What it means is, that's why times you must be wondering कि डिफेंस वाले बोलते हैं यार हमारा फैमिली वेलफेयर होना चाहिए, ये देखना चाहिए, वो तो सबका होता है यार. Why what's the difference in defense? So they say never take your worries, like now the child is unwell, the child is not getting medical attention, or the house is leaking, this, that. These are all small irritant worries. If you take these to the cockpit, you'll not be able to concentrate on the flying, and you may land up in a disaster situation either in a. So that is what they say. So in warfare, aerial warfare or the other warfare, once it is broken out and once you are in the middle of these sort of situations, you're not thinking about back home, you're not thinking about national disaster, you're not thinking about world disaster, you're not thinking about all those things. Your mind is very clear, you're flying, you're concentrating on that, you're flying the aircraft and make sure that whatever task is given, that is achieved. So all these things which you're thinking about maybe earlier or later, not during
because that's like laser focus was time.
Yeah.
But
it's total focus is the focus of the word. You're focused on the task which you're doing.
Got it. Like, a last thing from that dramatic movie point of view, because a lot of us think कि क्या reality में settled होता है कि नहीं. There's one also big part of विल पावर और विल पावर से जुड़ी हुई फेथ एंड डिटर्मिनेशन. जैसे आपका लॉजिक है, आपकी स्किल सेट्स है, एंड यू नो व्हाट द टारगेट इज, बट से व्हेन यू आर बीइंग चेस्ड बाय अदर फाइटर पायलट्स, it's difficult to think your emotions don't come in that way, or your thought of family doesn't come in that way. So what actually helps you during that? What human factor helps you in that? Which अगर हमने कोई अनमैन्ड व्हीकल किया, वो तो अपने एल्गोरिथम्स लगा के मूव आउट करेगा या तो फिर फायर डाउन होएगा. बट ऐसी कौन सी चीज़ डिफरेंशिएट करती है ह्यूमन को सिटिंग इन दैट कॉकपिट which allows them to move away?
Yeah. The first and foremost is the training. So you get trained for it. Okay. So you're trained for every eventuality, every situation which develops. And the more you train, the better off you are. That is one. Second is your motivation level. Like I said, Naam Namak Nishan. That chap will, do anything to save those. So that motivation level is very, very important. Third is called EQ, emotional quotient. Okay, and like you have IQ, you have an emotional quotient. And also it is, another word used is mental toughness. And there is a ways and means to develop your EQ. Okay, so that is very, very important, emotional quotient. So you cannot be emotionally unstable. You have to be emotionally strong, mentally strong. So these are few of the factors which I have listed. Similarly, there are some more factors which come into play that you are able to do your task properly and deal with crisis situations. Okay, so you get in natural life also you will face crisis situation. There is a way of doing it. Okay, we can talk about it also.
Sir, please do, because I would love for you to explain certain things which you observe in your tenure in your career, which could be relevant for them, and how could they actually implementably take these things up?
Well, there are a lot of things I can tell, but okay, let's talk about this crisis management. Okay, what is crisis management? It's just using your common sense. Okay, very simply said. Okay, now crisis management, I'll take an example of flying. Now flying में क्या होता है, कई बार emergency होती है. Emergency means some system has stopped working in that aircraft. You're flying the jet aircraft, say fighter aircraft, and you're flying at 900,000 kilometers per hour, and you have वो कार तो है नहीं कि साइड में खड़ा करके उसको देख लिया. So you can't do anything. Hydraulic system has failed, or undercarriage is not coming down, or the electronics have failed. So there are a lot of emergencies. Now we have a checklist and we have a action. So there are things called act emergency and react emergencies. Act emergency is you have to do immediately those actions without thinking to control that aircraft. And react is when you get time, think about it, and then follow up. So every emergency situation now in your normal life, you will get lot of situations where you have to take some action. You have to do something. Correct? Golden rule is 3: immediate action, subsequent action, and long-term action. Just follow this. You will never go wrong. Immediate action is immediately what needs to be done to contain the situation. Subsequent action is कि उसके बाद once life say saved, this thing is done, what actions need to be done to control the overall situation. And long term is to prevent it from happening. I'll give you an example, very basic example. Road accident ho gaya, you're traveling and you see a road accident. Every day it happens, correct? You see a bike is thrown off with a truck or something and people are crowded and you are there. So what do? Take out a mobile and make reels and send it to WhatsApp and social media. That's what half the people do. But if you have to solve that solution, what do? First thing you'll do is, who's hurt? Correct? Pull him out, take off his shoes, take out his belt. You tell people, move out. Okay, give him some water, see what state he is in. If he's bleeding, you put some first aid, this thing. So you're saving life. That is immediate action. If the car is on fire, you'll pull him away from it so that it doesn't explode and hurt people. Tell people to barricade and move away from that place. So these are called immediate actions. Say all of them. Common sense. So that the situation doesn't get aggravated further. What is the subsequent action? Subsequent action says, now the situation has developed. You will pick up some volunteers and say, okay, do some crowd control, do some traffic management. In the meantime, you'll bring up emergency 911 equivalent of this thing, call for ambulance, correct? So that the person can be given first aid, call the police to manage the thing. So these are now, if there is a debris thrown away, clear the debris so that the traffic can move. These are called subsequent action. I mean, there are a whole lot of these things which can be done. That is to contain the situation and not further aggravate. कि पता चला 4 कारें और बीच में आके ठोक दिया मैंने. Then long-term actions. कि accident क्यों हुआ? Is it a long curve? People are going fast. Maybe speed breaker is required. Maybe a sign is required. Did the ambulance come very late? Maybe health system needs a care. So these are long-term actions to this thing. So a simple आपने accident हुआ, उसके immediate action, subsequent action, long-term. Similarly, any situation you face in life, if you follow this common sense, you will be able to deal with it very logically.
And it's really interesting how, the defense, be it Army, Navy, Air Force, the way they inculcate this in their training itself, where similar things can be implemented.
True.
So, sir, can you tell us some real-time trainings or drills or some part of the culture of the defense systems of the Air Force, which people can actually implement in their organizations, be it disincentive, be it in their businesses, or just their daily lives also, may it be discipline or anything, which is really what I'm observing.
So there are two aspects to it. One is learning from defense services as far as community living is concerned. Okay, what is the difference in defense services and the same? One is teamwork. What is teamwork? In actual case, if I go to war as a pilot, my life doesn't depend on me. My life depends on my buddy. His life depends on me. To that extent, that means I am putting my life into the hands of my team. So that much of faith, that much of this thing, teamwork, you rely on it. यहाँ पर क्या है हमारा उसमें corporate world or otherwise, it's slightly different. Cutthroatism is too much. So we need to have that distinct. Second is tolerance. Since we are in a team, whether you're what religion, Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Isai, doesn't make a difference. We have got Sar, Dharm, Sthal. We have every faith, we respect everyone's faith, we celebrate every festival. Correct? So the tolerance level, oh yeah, बाहर क्या हो रहा है वो parking lot के लिए लड़ाई हो रही है and people are killing each other. So the tolerance, where is the tolerance? Defense services में tolerance is there. You have, persons, you honor persons' beliefs, faiths, their space, their whatever activities, you honor it. Okay, that is his thinking and mine is this. So long as we are living harmoniously, it's okay. That is very important to learn in today's world. Okay, that is personal, 1 or 2 examples I gave. As far as corporate or the organizational thing is concerned, the defense services, it has to work like a well-oiled machine. Same thing can be copied in the corporate world. And to run that machine, you need various things. One is communication, a very clear-cut objectives, we have to move in this direction. Okay, then teamwork I already covered. Individually you may be very great, but you cannot achieve. They say, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with a team.
True.
Okay, that is the thing. So if you have to go far, you have to have a teamwork. So teamwork, that communication is very important. It should not be linear, and you should be approachable. So anytime, this thing, then planning, meticulous planning of events or activities, then follow up of that. So there are a lot of things. The whole well-oiled machine works. So similar thing can be copied onto the corporate world. In management world, you learn from a lot of things. I have one management theory called car theory. So cars, you can learn a lot of things. Like tire pressure. It's called tire pressure. So all 4 tire pressure should be same. If it is not, the car will start running here and there. So similarly, in an organization, all your verticals should be equally motivated, equally charged up, equally this thing to work in this thing. And in car system, you rotate the wheels. In corporate also, you need to rotate. Human beings get tired after some time. अगर आप उसको 10 साल same काम में रखोगे, he will get bored. So after 2-3 years, if you rotate him too fast also, he will not know the job. So optimum level पे उसको rotate करो. Okay, then you do wheel balancing. So wheel balancing is giving the right tools to people, procedures to people to work on it. And most important is you keep a stepney. So what does stepney do? So similarly in an organization, relying only on one person for one job is very dangerous. Tomorrow he has an accident or he feels your thing will collapse. So you always have a standby person. Rotation helps in that. So you have always standby stepney with you. So similarly, car makes you learn a lot of things. And leader's job is steering. So he has to have very clear-cut aim key, car needs to go in this direction. So a very basic example I've given you.
Really well. Yeah, makes so much sense. And we're here in this crowd of young people, which might be going to the defense systems, maybe in the corporate world. If you think of your own mindset before joining the Air Force and throughout the career, the things that you've experienced, what's one particular thing or, mindset or, value system which you would tell them ki this is something jo throughout the career, throughout from end, starting till the end, they should make sure ki ye cheez kabhi aapka parasitar hi nahi bana. What would that be?
1 nahi, 3.
Please.
Compromise. Okay. Initiative, involvement, 1 step extra. That's it. Okay. Initiative, involvement, 1 step extra. Whatever you do, initiative is what makes a difference. Don't be sheep. What I mean by sheep is being led. Okay. Be the leader. You want things to change, go ahead and change it. That is what the initiative is. Okay, don't wait for somebody else to do the thing. Okay, give your ideas, innovate, think out of the box, project, go ahead and change it. That is what the initiative is. Involvement is whatever you do, give it your best, 100%. Okay, in services we say, do what you like what you do. Okay, so involve yourself. कई बार क्या होता है कि सांप का हुक्म है, I mean, that leadership is called autocratic leadership. ठीक है, that leadership is there, at times that is also required. But once the order is given and you accepted the job, do it to your best. Involvement. Okay. And how increase involvement also I can talk about. And third, I said 1 step extra, which I have followed personally in my life, and it has helped me a lot. Okay. Human beings, or any organization or a nation is driven by 2 things. Will to succeed, and second is fear of failure. Will to succeed makes you go up to whatever 10 steps. That fear of failure makes you do 1 or 2 steps extra. Okay. But in principle, in life, you follow this thing. Don't go by fear and all that. That is just theory I'm talking about. But practically, which you feel that you have done enough, take 1 or 2 steps forward. That is what makes the difference. You have convocation ceremony. Some people get a lot of, medals and degrees and first in this thing and cash prizes and medal and all that. What have they done? Their IQ is same. Their working level is same. All of us are same. God has made us all equal. And the only thing is, I call it God's mischief. Somebody here, he quietly tells them, you are unique. I've made you special. I've given you more IQ. I've given you more beauty. So, anyway, that is the lighter way. So if you take that 1 or 2 steps extra, that is what makes a difference between an average person and above average person. So that's what I followed in my initiative, involvement, and one step extra.
So I guess then know the day one कि उनको आज क्या करना है. And to give them a vision, what could you share with them could be the ways that youth can contribute to the nation, national services or the defense services of nation as a whole?
Yeah. So national security or defense, when you talk about, first thing your mind comes to is Army, Navy, Air Force. Yeah, we should join Army, Navy, Air Force. वो कहता नहीं यार मैंने specs पहन रखे, I can't go to this thing here. My dream is shattered, I can't go. You can contribute to the national security in a lot of fields. Actually, because of shortage of time, I didn't cover. There is an ecosystem, defense or security ecosystem. What does it comprise of? So उसमें क्या है, आपकी जो 3 services होगी, Army, Navy, Air Force, defense services होगी, ठीक है? Who you need for maintaining that deterrence value, that mustn't part, correct? Now to support them, you have an ecosystem. So ecosystem में number 1 is the think tanks, the ideation people, IITs, think tanks, people who think, ideate, ये technology है इसको मैं कैसे weapon system या system में बदल सकता हूँ for the Army, Navy, Air Force or for the warfare. That is ideation. So you can think, you can go into those fields. Second is research and development. Okay, R&D. So you could be in DRDO, you could be in private sector. In private sector, they have DRDO, R&D wings out. Okay, all the private corporates who are into military production, they have R&D wings. So you can do research and development. Third is manufacturing. You have defense PSUs. Now private companies are coming in. So you can get into any of these companies and be part of the corporate world for production of defense equipment, systems and thing. And fourth, of course, is join the services itself. So these are various fields where you can still contribute to the cause, to the national security, being wherever you are in any of these fields, and you can still be part of it.
Right. And I'm pretty sure, these possibilities have instilled some thoughts in all of you as well. So I would love to open the floor for questions from the audience. So does anyone have anything to ask at this point?
Somebody is facing an ethical dilemma, okay, of this greater good. Ki chota lie, partial truth can be justified for the bigger cause. How would you guide that person to solve that ethical dilemma and take action now? Your speech has given partial answer, but still, if somebody has this ethical dilemma of greater good, a small lie, a partial truth can be justified for a bigger cause. How do you solve this?
Well, actually, frankly speaking, I haven't understood the question very clearly.
So suppose this is more like a leadership component. So somebody is, say I am facing an ethical dilemma. I have to take a decision.
Okay.
And I believe that if I'm doing if I tell a partial lie or a partial truth, it should be okay because I'm doing for a bigger cause.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still not sure, am I taking a right action or no? Should I not lie or should I just tell the full truth? These kind of ethical dilemmas you face a lot in your defense services, right? How do you solve them? I'm a research scholar in juvenile criminal behavior, and the question is personal because I'm aiming to do a phenomenological research.
Yeah.
So it's really personal.
Lie or not to lie for a bigger cause.
Yeah.
That is a very, very personal sort of a question depending on the make of the person. And but in a broader sense, I will not give you the direct answer, but in a broader sense, what you touched upon is the decision making, which is very, very important. A leader should have 3 qualities. A good leader. He should have a vision. He should have capability to take decisions. And third is he should be able to absorb risk-taking ability. I'll just spend a minute on this, then come back to your question now. So these are very important, this thing. The vision is far vision, that today my company is here. 10 years from now, I want that company there. I want this company to be reaching this level. That's called vision. Okay, or any organization. That vision may be hazy. It's not going to be abstract. It may not be very clear cut. But that vision has to be there. That is what guides the company towards that goal. That second is decision making is very, very important. And especially in all the field, defense also, if you're not able to take decisions, so this is what relation I'll talk about. Third is risk-taking capability. Once you've taken a decision, there'll be failures. So risk-taking, calculated risk, not rashness. Okay, calculated risk. After weighing all the pros and cons, after weighing what will happen, then take a risk. And failure is part of life. I was doing some research and I came across quotations about life of all the people who are very rich and famous, Elon Musk and all these people. So 3 things came out very common in that. First was what I said, do what you love what you do. Okay. Second thing which came out is failure is part of life. You fall, if you don't fail, that means you haven't tried. They say if you fail, get up, learn from it, go ahead, try again. So failure is very, very part of life. Leaders should have a broad shoulder. Third is, you should have a broad shoulder to absorb that failure and not pass it on to this thing. Okay, fine, we have failed, no problem, we'll do it again. So that is what. And risk taking, I already talked about, that calculated risk after failing. So decision making is an art. And decision making also can be improved. It's not that it is inbuilt in you, you're born with it. Your parents may ये genes दिए and you can make no. You can actually practice decision making. And once again, what they say is in decision making, you can rely on 2-3 things. That will partially answer your question. The first part is your intuition. Okay, your intuition. Whether I should do or not do it. It's a totally, not a scientific this thing, but it is this thing. Second one is take advice from someone. And that advice, only thing is when you're taking advice from someone, you have to rate that advice on a scale. ये अच्छी एडवाइस देता है, इसके मैं फॉलो करूँगा. आपने 10 लोगों से पूछा है, 10 में से एक का रेटिंग 8 है, एक का 4 है. तो 4 वाले की आपको थोड़ा कम वेटेज देंगे, 8 वाले को ज़्यादा देंगे कि over a period you develop, like your father you will ask every time. So that sort of take advice from others. Third they say is, which will answer your question, weigh the outcomes against your ethical norms and your beliefs. If I do this, this will happen. Does this result conform to my ethics, conforms to my beliefs? If it does, go ahead and do it. If it doesn't, think again. That is partially your question. Fourth is, they say, which I do. Whenever I am in a different situation, and my children also have taught this. And my children now, they're grown up, now they tell me, you taught a right thing. I take a paper and pencil. I write down pros, cons, advantages, disadvantages. Okay. And I list them. When you start listing them, your mind becomes much clearer, right? Yeah.
So, but then one thing in that self, say army में हमने बात की, you said autocratic authority, right? And that particular point, you have to adhere to certain authority and do what they say as they say. Secondly, but आपको on ground situation हो सकता है ज़्यादा पता हो सकता है उधर तक communicate नहीं हो, और आपको पता है कि organization के benefit के लिए you have to work in a certain way. But autocratic authority has said you to do this. So in that particular situation, there's also this ethical dilemma of lying to the, maybe lying, maybe not lying. So at that point, what would you do as an executor and what would you expect as a leader?
Very, very difficult question. Yeah. So, corporate world is different. Life was, and defense services is slightly different. So once you have done, the detailed planning, once you have detailed this thing, order has been given, or you're just going out and doing it. I mean, there's no thinking 2 ways about it. Yeah, you're right. Situations do come where you have to, this thing, you go back and say, Kim, this, in my opinion, is you insist on it. But if your leader says do it, please go ahead and do it. There's no question. I'll tell you. So in a broader sense, there are 2 types of leadership. One is called authoritative and one is called democratic. Authoritative की साथ तो फिर करना है. Democratic is you take everyone together and take a democratic this thing and then go ahead and do it. So best thing is situational leadership in any organization. At times you have to be authoritative, at times you have to be situation to situation, it depends. But I'll tell you a very interesting thing, all your youngsters. The leadership style is also changing with the world, with the new technologies coming in. How is it changing? I'll tell you. From tell type to cell type. What is tell type and what is cell type? I don't know whether you've heard of this or you won't find it in the books. Tell type is that you've told, okay, ye karna hai. That is authoritative type. Cell type is you've told him you do this and then you explain the person why you're doing it. So when you explain that person why you're doing it is his or her involvement in the process increases. Why? Because he or she understands why it is being done. And why cell type is important is this generation and even your generation, 3-year-olds are handling the, remotes. so well, which, we find it difficult to this thing. 2-3-year-old, the remotes and this smartphones. So their information is available. You have to explain to them why you're doing it. So there is a third level of involvement. I said initiative and involvement. So as a leader, if you bring them in the process and make them feel that the idea has come from them, that is called ownership. Okay, so tell type, sell type, and third is ownership. So what ownership means is कि मैंने मीटिंग कर ली, आइडिया मेरा है, मैंने उसको स्मार्टली इंजेक्ट किया एंड आई मेड हिम और हर बिलीव कि ये आइडिया तुमसे आया है. You will go out of your way to make it success. That is called ownership.
Very good. Amazing.
Yeah.
So yes, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. I want to know that how AI is influencing the taking decision of fighter pilots.
Yeah. How AI is helping in take decision making.
Yeah. How?
Yeah. So what happens is AI in the defense services coming under 5-6 fields mainly. Implicit. So decision making is one of them. So what happens is there is an information overload. Now how do you take decisions in life or any decision? You get inputs, you get information, you analyze that, and then what comes into your head is called situational awareness. Correct? Situational awareness. God's eye view. कि हाँ भाई ये situation है. And now you take a decision to deal with the situation. Correct? That is the process which you go through. So AI firstly is helping you in situational awareness. The plethora of information which is coming, he analyzes for you and gives you the outcome. Okay, they say data, and data के बाद it comes knowledge. Knowledge के बाद it comes wisdom. So data को knowledge में convert करने के लिए AI use हो रहा है. Okay, that is one. Because humanly it is impossible to deal with so much of information which is coming. Okay, if you talk about warfare, now the systems which are coming are multi-domain or multi-sensors. Like say radar, stealth technology. Stealth technology was heard कि वो radar पे नहीं दिखता है. Now to overcome that, you're having radars, then you have a passive system which sees the thermal image of it, the noise level of it, and now to convert that कि ये कौन सा जहाज है, क्या weapon है, क्या platform है, you need AI. So he will deal with all that, amalgamate it, and then tell you most probably it is this, and I am saying it with 50% assurance or 70% assurance or 80% surety. Correct? So AI is doing that job for you. Second thing, what AI is doing is decision support system. All the new systems which are coming up, they're coming with DSS. So, and another thing called what if option. So what if option is, if I take action A, what will be the outcome? Now to manually think about it and do it takes time consuming. So these machines are doing it for you. You say action A, the outcome will be this. Action B, the outcome will be this. C, outcome will be this. So that is where he's helping you. Third is, he is giving you, he said my preferred option is C. Okay. Now comes, so this is how it is helping in decision support systems in making decisions. But there is a catch in it. If the data is half baked, machine can go wrong. You have to develop that faith in the machine. You have to develop that rapport or whatever you want to do. It can't be called rapport because it's a machine after all. So that process has to be gone through. Finally, the human has to take a decision. That is the final list. So that you have to base on your intuition, on your knowledge, your experience, your so that common sense, whatever you call it. Final thing is human.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
We have, I guess, one more question. Someone has the mic. Yeah, please.
Good afternoon, sir. Myself Kushal, and my question is that how do you address concern about mental health and well-being for a leader in a wartime? Because as a youth, mental health is the biggest concern about for us.
The welfare and maintenance of?
Mental health and well-being for a leader in a wartime.
Yeah, okay. Listen. So, as I said, leader or whatever level you are at. So, mental health is not that overnight it will come. Mental health is you have to work on it continuously. So, once you have reached the war sort of situation, whatever mental health you already got. I mean, that resilience or the EQ, whatever you want to call it, emotional quotient, correct? So, you already got that to deal with it. Now, in a wartime situation, to deal with it, So the team has to come into play. Okay. First is, as a leader, you cannot you do everything on your own. You cannot do it. You have to rely on a team. So you have to rest. You have to think rationally. It's not that you can do it. You're not a Superman that you can do everything. So that's why one of the things they say is delegation and teamwork. I keep insisting on teamwork. That is very, very important. And team also, you need to delegate. You have to have faith in him. He'll do the job. Okay, and leave it to him or her. It's not that you can do everything. I was very interesting thing. I'll just take a minute on delegation. I was doing some research, and they said having a team and not delegating is like keeping a dog and barking yourself. So they say about delegation is that you delegate the task, responsibility is still yours. You don't delegate the responsibility, you delegate the task. And that give the freedom to the person to work on his own. And there is a very famous quote by one of the American journals, and he says, give the job to the person. Don't tell him about how to do it. And he will surprise you. He says he'll surprise you with his innovation and his outcomes. So you have to rely on them. Then in the war situations, there are certain times when you have to be there, and certain times you can leave it to the others and go and relax, and that's how it works. Otherwise, if you try to do everything, you will get popped out. You will not be able to this thing. The second aspect is, as a team and others, is not to overload the person with a whole lot of other problems which are trivial, which can be handled at a lower level rather than, it's called upward delegation. Okay, so upward delegation should be avoided. Yeah.
Really interesting, and most interesting because it's coming from you, who has experienced the discipline of the Air Force, who has experienced all these systems in place. And throughout all these years, I feel you also experienced being an executor, being the leader, being, the leader of the leaders. So I'm pretty sure everyone might have, had a really good experience with this whole session. So as to, board a flight, that's why we have to cut this down right now.
She's been waiting for long.
Okay, so we can take this last question. And then we close. Yes. What's a good name again?
Yeah, I am Dhruvisha. So it's regarding the psychology and the leadership. So in Air Force, we have two leadership basically. It's transformational and transactional. So how that uses in motivating team, especially under the extreme stress condition, and what is the effect of that, like post-traumatic growth. Post-traumatic growth is how positive changes occur after any traumas that occurs in the fighter planes, or we can say, or the pilot who are flying the airplanes.
Yeah. So what I understand from your question is, again, related to mental health and related to dealing with traumatic experiences and dangerous situations and things like that. Yeah.
No, it's like the talking about that.
No, I can't hear you. Come closer. Please come closer. Yeah.
Then I said, it's hard to meet people when they had to start connected about this. All that's human. Like, all that when we pose at the dispense situation, if they need to give it any dividends and everything, all that's to hinder. Didn't press any drama and experience and markets, but within the voltage and we'll go to accident talking, rolling eyeball and call that.
Yeah, okay. So motivation is as a continuous process, not only that when you get into stressful situation that you are getting motivated. It is a motivation is a overall level of motivation which you reach by various means. That the organizational, so the defense services organization looks after their people in such a way that the motivation level remains high. That is one. Secondly, all their mundane problems which they face, to find solutions for them. That's what is called welfare. Their welfare and the family welfare. So those aspects, बच्चे की पढ़ाई हो गई, आपका medical वो हो गया, so that he is free of those worries, those tensions are not this thing. And obviously, motivation in terms of, of doing well, getting awards, getting money or whatever. So those are motivational tools. And so motivational level is not that when you reach stress level, that's the time you start motivating. Yeah, but at times situation comes that a person says, yeah, this is no go, I'm finished. So there are ways and means. So firstly, we are like a family in this thing. Flying a squadron, By the way, it is so close-knit because our lives are dependent on each other. We know each and every person very well. And if something is bugging him in the morning, you can look at his face and say, "Ki, something is bugging you." And you ask them, "Yeah, what is happening? Why something is troubling you?" And you're there to help them out. Whether it is a personal issue or is it this thing, whatever is the problem, people are there to solve. Then we have a specialist medical branch, the full medical branch, which has got, and then you've got a psychiatrist help available, not only for the defense person, the families also. Like in your schools and colleges, you have that, counselors. So we have counselors, the marital discords at times, that bug people. So you have marital discord counselors. So you have these facilities available to help out in stressful situations or traumatic experiences and to get back to that motivation level which has dropped due to some reason.
And such a systematic way to actually look at it as this point where humans also operate majorly from their brains, right? And if such things, जैसे camaraderie issues और आपके partner का ही जो आपके साथ में fly कर रहा है, उनके साथ में कोई personal issues है, so definitely वो distributions आएगी.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to see how, this is the things in the defense is not just isolated to there. It's relevant and affiliated to every part of our lives.
Very true.
So thank you so much, sir, to share with us all the things that you did today and give us a perspective holistically and not just, the defense perspective. And we could actually learn, and I'm pretty sure that we all can implement all these things in our daily lives as well. So thank you so much.
Okay. Yes, thank you very much. Generally, everywhere I go, the parting question is, one advice if you were to give all the friends. So I think the podcast will not be complete without it.
Please, sir.
So one advice I want to give you all of you is discipline. That is one thing you can pick up individually as far as organizationally. When I say discipline, it is not, saluting and stiff and PT parade and things like that. Discipline is all encompassing. And it is not discipline, it is self-discipline. Doing the right thing when nobody is watching you. Oh, police wala khada hota hai, bas ki wo radar wala, so everyone slows down, everyone follows the rule. Very interesting. I went to Chandigarh. So Mohali, when that chap was driving, mad, left, right, center, left say, right say, crossing red light. He entered Chandigarh and the same person, same taxi was following all the rules because he knows cameras are there. So that is not discipline. Discipline is doing the right thing. You all know what is right, what is wrong when things are not watching. One. And secondly, discipline is not only discipline in one. It is all encompassing. Your eating discipline, your sleeping discipline, your financial discipline, your health discipline. Everything. That is one thing you can learn from defense services. Discipline is very, very important. Yeah, thank you very much. I enjoyed this session. I hope you also.
Yeah. It's amazing.